summer. At Philmont Scout Ranch, there's what they call the Philmont Hymn. The Philmont Hymn is a song that the staff and the scouts sing at all the campfires as a closing song. In this song, there's one line that says, talking about Philmont, "A scouter's paradise." When I heard about this, I thought, well, that's nice, and it sounds good in the song, and I didn't think much more about it. Philmont Scout Ranch is a place where many memories are made. I have made many memories I'll never forget. Here are 4 of them. The first is the amount of stars in the sky at Philmont. I remember looking up one night and just being in awe. I've never been anywhere else where there are so many stars that I had a hard time finding the Big Dipper. The sky in New Mexico over Philmont Scout Ranch is completely lit up all the time, all night. We actually slept most of our nights without a fly in our tent because it was so dry and rain wasn't a threat. Because of this, I went to bed most nights gazing up at the breathtaking night sky. My second memory is traveling with a burro for a few days. I will especially remember coming to a campsite and Mitch Harper, my brother Zach, and myself had to put the donkey in a corral. Well, as there's hiking treks that we are on where you hike through the camp, there are also horse riding treks. In this, you ride horses all throughout the Philmont Scout Ranch. So we had a campsite with a group that was also on horses. So there's about 15 horses, 20 horses in one corral. Inside this large corral is a smaller one, and that's where the burros went. Well, apparently, burros don't much like horses. So we had to get this burro into the smaller corral with all the horses all around the gate. I remember pulling on the head of this burro. Mitch was on the back pushing, and my brother was pushing horses around trying to make an opening. I remember pulling, getting stepped on by the horses, smacking them around, pushing them on their necks, everything we could, poking them just to move this burro in there. We finally got the burro into the larger ring, and as soon as that happened, we slammed the large corral gates shut. Then the burro saw an opening in between the horses to the smaller corral, and it just took off. It went running for this smaller corral, and we slammed the gate right behind it and left laughing. The third memory is the pain and agony of climbing Black Mountain. This mountain is the 3rd tallest mountain in Philmont, and despite us climbing the other 2 tallest mountains beforehand, Black Mountain was 10 times harder than either of them. This mountain goes straight up with countless switchbacks. And despite the intensity of climbing this mountain, I loved every second of it. This is by far my favorite climb of the trip. Most everyone else in our group would say I've lost my mind, but I absolutely loved the challenge of Black Mountain. I could not stop smiling as I climbed this crazy mountain, while the rest of my group was about ready to die. It even got to a point where the trail was gone, there was nothing but rock. And these were big rocks, and they were very unstable, so you took a step, you didn't know what your ankles were about to do, you didn't know what was going to happen. And this was all going on when there was a very intense angle you're climbing. And all this was worth it for me once I got to the top. Your first reaction as a listener would be, wow, that view must have been incredible. And it was, but that wasn't the reason. No, the reason for this climb being worth it for me, being the first to the summit, was to look back at where the trail came from and seeing the faces of the others as they finally got to the top of this mountain. Seeing the excitement, relief, and amazement on their faces was just awesome. My 4th memory was on the last day of our hike. We woke up at 3:45 that morning, we broke camp and left. We hiked in the pitch black with flashlights and hoped we would not be eaten by a mountain lion. We got up this early to go see the sunrise over the Tooth of Time. We sat down on the side of a ridgeline at about 5:30 that morning. We waited, and at about 5:45, we saw the sun start to peek out of the horizon. It was incredibly beautiful, and we were taking pictures left and right. After about 15 minutes, we stood up, put our packs on, and we hiked on. We had walked about 50 yards, and we looked back, and we saw a beautiful cinnamon-colored black bear and her cub walk up straight where we had been sitting. Seeing that was incredible. It was just as good as the sunrise we'd gone there to see. The only thing that I could do was thank God for giving me such a cool thing to see. At the end of our trip, right before we left the closing campfire at base camp, we sang the Philmont hymn. I sang along like everyone else, and we got to that line, a scouter's paradise. But it wasn't the same as before. I realized that Philmont Scout Ranch really is a scouter's paradise. Thank you.